Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. One of my viewers wanted me to talk about society's obsession with single men. Now, society overall has a fixation on single men, and the reason why they have a fixation on single men is because men have a lot of power in our society, and many of these men have more options than women have. Now, this is the way it was designed in God's order, because God made the man first, and he made the man to be the head. And as he made the man to be the head of his order and be his steward, this is why we have societies that have obsessions with single men, because they see that the power that was given to them by God, and because God has given them that power, this is why there's a lot of focus on a man, and the focus is on the single man, because out of all the men in society, it's the single heterosexual man who has the most options in our overall society. Now, our society is focused on gynocentrism. However, most women in that gynocentric society have a major focus on single men, because they know that a single man can be a possible provider of resources, and this is why many women, even though they have their jobs under the gynocentric and feminist society, want to get involved with a single man, because they know that a single man possibly has the access to economic resources or the potential for economic resources, and this is the core foundation for a major part of the obsession with single men, because even though many women talk about having their own money, they oftentimes know that the main source of that money is coming from men, and they want to have a single man available so that they can have options for relationships. And what they want to do is basically find a man with the best way to provide resources for them, and this is why there's a heavy focus on women looking originally for a husband before feminism, but these days you have women looking for a single man, and they look for a single man so that they can participate in hypergamy, so that they can monkey branch from one man with resources to another man with resources, because they know that everything they get comes from a man, even though they make the talking point about being strong and independent. Now, when it comes to the single man is the one who has the most potential in society, because the single man has the most options to set a course for a road to success. Now, when it comes out to all the men in society, the married man doesn't really have that many options, because that man is already sufficiently obligated to a wife, and if he has children, he has obligations to them, so his money is not in a place where he can freely spend it the way a single man would. No, with the married man can't go out here and spend money, because his money is basically obligated to items in his family's budget. But a single man has disposable income, and because that man has disposable income, society is really fixated on that man, because that man has great economic power. And when it comes to the dollar, the value of a man's dollar is higher than a woman, because a man is created by God to be a builder, and if a man is smart, he takes his money to go out and build wealth building assets, and this is something people really see has a value in societies, because it's the men who have money to build. And again, a single man who's a builder, this is somebody many women fixate on. They fixate on guys who are out here, who are single and are working on building themselves up. that's why we have another obsession with a single man, because he's not tied down to obligations, and as he's building wealth for himself. So that's why there's a lot of fixation on single men, because a single man is again in a place where he has a place where he can look to work on living to build himself up, and he can go for his dreams, and he's in a place where he basically has the whole world in his sights, and he can go out here and look to work towards achieving and accomplishing what he wants to do in life. So the single man is somebody who again has a lot of freedom in society to move, and they can go in any direction that they want. So people oftentimes look to target the single man, and they look to target the single man because again, here's a guy, he's not married, he doesn't have a girlfriend in some cases, and if he's lucky, he has a good job. So he's in a place where he can work towards economic security, and because he can work for economic security, this is where people really want to be able to try to appeal to him, like women want to appeal to him to get a relationship with an eventual marriage. And you have people who, on the other side, are really uncomfortable about a single man because of all the options he has. Because, again, a single man is not tethered to anyone and doesn't have to make commitments to anyone. So this is why people fixate on single men as related to women in relationships. And other institutions do target the single man, but they see the single man as an enemy. And this is why we haven't had investment in single men over the last 60 years. Now, before the feminist movement, there was an investment in single men because a society valued the single man as a wealth builder, and that's why we oftentimes saw a focus on looking to hire young men who were college graduates so that they could build households and families. However, after the feminist movement, we started to see an investment in women as our economy stopped focusing on being producer-based to focusing on being consumer-based. Now, the reason why they wanted to change from focusing on investing in men to investing in women is because big business, basically what they wanted to do was create a whole group of consumers they hoped to profit off of, and they knew that the woman would be an impulsive buyer. And because they knew that the woman would be an impulsive buyer, they knew it would be easier to get that woman into debt, something they couldn't do with a man because a man is a logical thinker, and as a logical thinker, he's someone who goes from looking to work for someone, looking to work to build his own business. And that's where the obsession with single men took a turn. And instead of us investing in the single man, they invested in the single woman. However, most of the single women still wanted relationships with single men, and that's where we have this further obsession with single men, because even though many feminist indoctrinated women work at these jobs, they want that man because that's something that God instilled in them to want and desire men, because they want the leadership and guidance of a man. Moreover, they want that man to provide for them not only economically, but they want him to provide them spiritual guidance, and also want them to provide direction for them. So there's a obsession with single men because these women want to get the title of wife. Unfortunately, because they're in feminism, they don't know how to work with single men because they've been taught to become feminists and not women. But they all want that single man because, again, the single man is somebody they want to have relationships with. And again, the single man is somebody who is available. And since that man is available for a relationship, they have the fixation on that man because the single man is somebody who is the one who has the most options. And again, out of all the men in society, the single man has the most options. He has the option to basically, if he wants to do, he can go out and move from one place to the other and start a new life somewhere if he's not tied to anyone. And if he's debt free, he can just basically move anywhere. So that man has more options than any other man because he's not obligated to anyone. He's not, and if he's debt free, he's basically just completely free to do whatever he pleases under the law. I mean, if he doesn't have any sort of obligations to anyone, he can just go and do whatever he wants. And again, single men, this is somebody that, again, they can go out here, and if they want to set a course for themselves, they can just go out here and do it like I'm doing here with the SJS Direct Imprint as a single man. I'm out here writing my books and making YouTube videos. I mean, this is something that I'm doing as a single man as the option for myself. And this is something that guys can do because, again, when you're free, you can go out here and work on your goals. And this is something that makes people, again, fixate on single men because a single man who's on his purpose is somebody who's in a leadership role. And in that leadership role, they have power that God has given them to go work on their goals. And they're not tied down to anyone. And that's why people want to go after single men because, again, this person has the best options as related to relationships because they're not tied down with emotional baggage. If they don't have girlfriends, they're not messed up as related to their finances. If they don't have debt, and if they don't have anything going on as related to criminal activity, they're in a great place where if something in life, like a job, doesn't work out, they can go start someplace else and just move on with their life. Or if they want to go and pursue a dream, they can go out here and pursue a dream. So when it comes to the single man, they basically can just set a vision for themselves about where they want to go. And what people want to do is try to tie that man down in a codependent situation where they can get power over them. And that's what they try to do on things like jobs, trying to get control over the man. They try to get control over the man because they know the single man has options. And this is why today's companies really don't like hiring single men because they know that that man can get up and go at any time. And they know that if there's a single man, they've got to treat that man with respect. Meanwhile, with other groups, they know they can use their children or other people as leverage over them, and they know they can't do that with a single man. That's why they don't want to invest in single men, but the society knows that they need single men because single men are the ones who can go out here and build, especially if they're young and in their prime of their lives or their health is strong. You can go and do a lot more with a man, and they know that they need these men, but they don't want to invest in those men. But those men can pay off with a stronger return on things. But the whole thing is we don't want to invest in the single man, but the single man is the greatest asset to a society, especially young single men. Young single men are a great asset to a society, and that's why a lot of women definitely are obsessed with trying to get one when they're young. If they're smart, they know they don't have all the time in the world, and they know that having a single man and looking to get him on the road to being a husband will help them in the long run because they'll have a head over them to cover them, a head to protect them, a steward to look out for them. And again, society needs single men because that's how you get husbands. And if that man has options, he can go out here and build a great life for both men and women. And again, society needs single men because, again, single men have the most options. And this is why you see a lot of older men trying to stay single because they know they have the most options out here out of all men. And they know that out of all of those options, they can go out here and choose whatever woman they want to get with and choose whoever they want to have a relationship with. They know that they have the most options. And this is why so many men want to stay single because society oftentimes looks to cater to the single man, especially the young single man. But you'll have companies that don't want to do this, not understanding that the investment with a man pays off over time because the single man, again, is if you give that single man money and invest in that man, he's going to pay off big dividends. And again, he can pay off in big dividends by building building a business, building a family. So the single man has a whole lot of opportunity, and this is why the world wants the single man, because again, single men just have a lot more options than anyone else in the world. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation for a minimum of $15 to the Cash App or the PayPal by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books that talk about men's issues, like the Simp series of Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, Stop Simping in the Workplace, and books like The Man Crisis and Why 70% of Black Women Are Single and The Woman Crisis, you can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find these books at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and you can find them at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose on Amazon.com today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.